Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for some Chelsea news. It's been a while since we've done Chelsea news. We're 11 days into January and it's looking as though we're getting a little bit closer to knowing how Chelsea envisage or plan to actually solve the issue that is no Ben Chilwell for the entirety of the season. Marcos Alonso has put in a couple of good games in recent matches. Lewis Hall came in against Chesterfield. However, don't for one second think that Thomas Tuchel or the majority of Chelsea fans thinks that Lewis Hall could be an immediate when we've got Champions League games coming up, when we've got FA Cups to win, when we've got Premier League title races to try and re-enter. No disrespect to Lewis Hall, who's only played one game for Chelsea and got man of the match. We've got to be realistic here and think that Chelsea, their main priority right now, is to get somebody to come in and play in the left-back position to at least compete with Marcos Alonso. Before we get into today's stories, I do want to ask you guys to subscribe to the George Benson football channel if you haven't already done so, and also, if you could hit the like button on this video today, that would be a massive help. January is a nightmare for YouTubers, as I'm sure, if you've been watching this platform for some time, you will be made aware of. But the first story that we're going to get into today is Chelsea and our attempts to try and recall Emerson Palmieri from Lyon. Now, there's a few questions being asked about this one right now, where, for me at least, I understand that Emerson, in terms of a long-term Chelsea future, I don't think Emerson is a long-term Chelsea player. That's just my personal opinion on the matter. At the moment, Chelsea are trying to pay Lyon 4 million euros to recall as compensation Emerson, who is on a season-long loan. I, for one, do believe that if Chelsea could have sold Emerson for a price that they would have been happy with in the summer, then I don't think Emerson's loan move to Lyon would have been the move that either the player or Chelsea would have preferred. I think Emerson knows that if he's third choice at Chelsea behind Chilwell and also Marcos Alonso, then I think Emerson knows that in terms of consistently playing, remaining at Chelsea was never going to be his personal best option. When you look at Luka Dean, who's been an option that Chelsea have gone for, Aston Villa look as though it is just a matter of time now as to when they will announce that they've completed the signing of Luka Dean from Everton. Everton didn't want to loan him. A loan move for Chelsea would have certainly been preferable to bring Luka Dean with maybe an option to buy if it works out, but then you've also got Chilwell to return. So would Luka Dean even have wanted to come to Chelsea knowing that only for 4 or 5 months would he be the first choice, or maybe not even the first choice, maybe Alonso would have remained first choice, and then he would have certainly been considered a backup come the return of Ben Chilwell. So Luka Dean's going to Aston Villa. Chelsea recalling Emerson at the moment, without trying to be disrespectful here, because Emerson is obviously a Chelsea player, scored against Atletico Madrid in our run to the Champions League. He's a Champions League winner for our club. But at the same time, I see some of the players that Chelsea are linked with, and I just wonder if maybe recalling Emerson and paying that 4 million, which is annoying, but it is exactly what you need to do if you loan a player out. Recall him back, compensation needs to be met somewhere. Bringing Emerson back at this moment in time, when I look at the market of players currently available, when we think about the players that Chelsea are linked with, and we're going to move into talking about Sergino Dest in a moment for story number 2, I just wonder if it might be the best option to immediately try and solve this issue, to pay 4 million to Lyon in compensation for Emerson, as opposed to taking a risk and trying to spend big money or just money in general on a player who you've got absolutely no guarantee of what he's going to bring. Will he adapt to the Premier League, or will we just see Marcos Alonso remain in that left wing-back position for the remainder of the season? Let me know your thoughts on Emerson. But when we move into story number 2, again, I am looking at this Sergino Dest story link. I'm looking at Chelsea's links to Dest, and I'm not sold on it, if I'm entirely honest. At the moment, it's reported that Barcelona are looking for 60 million euros for Sergino Dest, which I absolutely know for a fact Chelsea are never going to pay 60 million euros for Sergino Dest. Chelsea are reportedly willing to table an offer of around 30 million euros, which is half the value of what Barcelona would dream of actually getting for his signature. Chelsea have competition from Bayern Munich. Sergino Dest is supposedly not part of Xavi's plans for the remainder of the season and get back into whatever title race they can get back into in La Liga, and they're playing Europa League football. So if Xavi doesn't consider him in the plans for Barcelona, is he even good enough to play for Chelsea? That is the big question. The main positive about Dest is that he can play on both sides. He could be backup for Reece James in the right wing-back role, and of course, he can also play on the left too, which would immediately come in, offer competition to Alonso, and then he'd be a Chelsea player, young Chelsea player, to compete with Ben Chilwell again for next season, when we potentially might look to offload Emerson on a permanent, maybe even Marcos Alonso on a permanent transfer. You look at Dest and you think, well, Barcelona wants 60 million. Chelsea are never even going to entertain the idea of that. Thomas Tuchel was the man who said no to Luca Dean. So is Sergino Dest going to be a player that Thomas Tuchel wants to sign? With all of that being considered, at the moment, I do believe that Chelsea are conducting their transfer business based off of what Thomas Tuchel says and wants. Emerson Palmieri, as it's been reported by Fabrizio Romano, is Chelsea's first choice to bring him back from that loan from Lyon, and then we can look in the summer potentially of offloading Emerson, Alonso, if they're not considered good enough from under Thomas Tuchel to back Ben Chilwell up. If not, we can then try and invest in the summer transfer window, which is a far more feasible window for Chelsea to operate in than in January. So, let me know your thoughts on those in the comments down below. Luca Dean is pretty much done. He's going to be going to Aston Villa. Sergino Dest, it could be a nice idea, but if Barcelona are going to try and mug us off, considering our situation, it's a big no-go from me, and I don't think Chelsea would entertain it. However, we've got another story regarding a defender to go into before we talk about the main story of the day, and that story, we are going to talk about Jules Koundé, who Liverpool are reportedly also now in the race for signing Koundé. When we look at the centre-back situation at Chelsea right now, the pendulum's kind of shifted a little bit. A few weeks ago, I'd have said there's no way that Rudiger will sign. Christensen, he'll probably sign a new deal. Aspi, we have been seeing it now for a couple of weeks. Links to Barcelona, they keep on strengthening. Christensen changed his representatives. It set everything back to square one when it came to him signing a new deal. Rudiger, I've just got a feeling all of a sudden, out of nowhere in the past couple of days, that Rudiger's actually going to extend his contract at Chelsea. So, if Rudiger stays, Thiago Silva, he's just signed a new deal. Levi Colwill is a defender that I would love to see back at Chelsea next season. There is definitely going to be a gap for a defender. Jules Koundé is one that we've talked about a lot, and I hope that Chelsea can win the race for Koundé. I've seen a lot of him play this season, and even though I wasn't sold in the summer, I'm certainly sold on his ability now. 23 years old, French centre-back. I think he could be a quality player. Liverpool are in the race. Will Chelsea sign him in the summer window? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The final story of the day. I've still got a bit of a sore throat, you guys can probably tell. So if we can get through this one, then I'll be a very happy man. The final story of the day is that Romelu Lukaku is reportedly wanted by Paris Saint-Germain. PSG are looking, thinking Kylian Mbappe is probably going to leave the club in the summer. He wants to move to Real Madrid. He's going to be going as a free agent, but I'm sure there's going to be some developments with Mbappe's contract situation over the course of the next few months. I don't think he'll let Paris Saint-Germain not get any money for him, considering how much he's actually worth. But we'll see how that one develops. But PSG are reportedly looking at Lukaku as his replacement. Paris Saint-Germain would be willing to offer 75.5 million to bring in Lukaku, which is 22 million less than what Chelsea paid in the summer. I'm not going to sit here until there's any concrete talks about Chelsea, Tuchel not wanting Lukaku. Is the apology just a patch right now on the wound that is going to reopen again in the future? I don't want to really give too negative of a view on this, because I think Chelsea fans right now, we are in a very tight boat at the moment when it comes to forgiving Romelu Lukaku or looking at Chelsea's best interest, and as a result of that, forgiving Romelu Lukaku. He scored against Chesterfield, but I do think we need to be very cautious about Lukaku, because, to be honest, it took absolutely nothing for him to hypothetically throw his toys out of the pram to do this interview, So maybe it's a sign of something that could come in the future. So at the moment, at least for me personally here on GBFC, it's far too soon for me to just say, yeah, Lukaku scored against Chesterfield, forget the problem now, we can't entertain any other ideas of anything else in the future. I would be worried that Lukaku's volatility could see this problem arise again. So when we see clubs like PSG, who are losing Mbappe, when we see clubs like PSG linked, then we've got to kind of look at it and think, well, maybe if Lukaku really is that unhappy, if a team like PSG come in, yeah, okay, it's not the delights of Inter Milan, as he said he wanted to go and experience again, but PSG were knocking on the door. I think Chelsea would try to get around the 100 million-ish that we spent on Lukaku in the summer. The final story about this is reported by El Nacional, so we can read into it as much as you like. But speaking of Victor Osimhen, the Napoli striker, I think Victor Osimhen would be absolutely brilliant in the Premier League. It's reported that he is kind of the heir to Romelu Lukaku, as in he's the younger version of Lukaku. I've seen Osimhen play a few times, and I think he's a quality striker. And I do think that it would be around a price range that Chelsea could get Osimhen that would be something less than what we could bring in if we were to sell Lukaku. I want to make it very clear right now, this is just me reporting what is being reported. I want to give Lukaku another chance. I still see Lukaku as my Chelsea striker moving forward, but Victor Osimhen as a backup if PSG, Inter Milan, whoever it is, knock on the door for Lukaku in the summer and he wants to go, I would not be upset with Victor Osimhen coming to Chelsea. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Let me know where you stand right now on the Lukaku situation. Are you over it? Have you forgiven him after that goal against Chesterfield? Or do you want the club to sell him in the summer? Let me know your updated thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video. Tottenham preview and then 6 things we learned. Come on, you Blues.